And so we have a very diverse panel of expert individuals, many of which you probably know their names before I even introduce them. I will have them all introduce themselves as they get on here. We have Seth, Diego, Rahul, Andrea, and Vijay. Please give them all a warm welcome, a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. My name is Seth.
Start with a round of introductions, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. My name is Seth. I am a consultant, and I have a community focused on AI creative. It's called AICC. It's a creative community, global, and then I'm a consultant for brands, LVMH, NASCAR. That's a diverse range. Saks Fifth Avenue, and a bunch of others in between those different spaces. But I came from gaming. I was with Riot Games in Berlin with the mighty LEC, and then I was with Blizzard Games as well, global director of events, and that's me. I moved into Web3 as a consultant because we were building in all these different diverse worlds, and there was lots of people that needed to be guided inside of these new spaces. So that's me-ish, kind of.
Go ahead, Diego. You'll go down the line.
Hi, my name is Diego Castro. I have a company called Bonaceto. I'm a digital CGI artist. I've been running a CGI company for 10 years. I'm involved with the metaverse and most recently AI prompting image generators. So yeah, you can check my work at Bonaceto site and Instagram. That's where my biggest community is. And I'm most recently at Seth Community, AICC, which is great.
Join us.
Yeah, Andreas.
Hi, my name is Andrea. I am an artist and an entrepreneur / investor. As an artist, I really focus on abstract work, portraits, generative art, and also the collaboration with AI and humans. I've done several releases on NFT, Gateway, and most recently on Christie's as well during their evening sale here in London, actually. And as an entrepreneur / investor, I'm a co-founder of an NFT cultural institution called Aorist, and as well, I'm one of the founding partners of a venture capital fund called Eterna Capital.
So hi, I'm Vijay, originally from Chennai in India, but living in Munich, the city of Oktoberfest now. I'm the founder and CEO of BitsCrunch. So we crunch each and every bits of data behind NFTs. We want the NFT space to be more secure, and we build products that tackle wash trading, for instance, where people flip NFTs for higher prices. And then we also help people in understanding the fair price of an NFT. So we are backed by some amazing investors in this space, ranging from Coinbase Ventures, Polygon, Crypto.com, and Animoca brands. Recently, Chainlink joined us as an investor as well. And we are also partners with MasterCard. So we are doing a proof of concept, now moving towards a pilot phase, where we are going to provide that security layer for anybody who is going to purchase NFTs using MasterCard as a payment gateway. So yeah, we have started this journey, and it's going well. Still a long journey ahead of us. Looking forward to the exciting times ahead. Thanks.
Great. And yeah, I'm Rahul Sood, and I am a longtime gaming entrepreneur. I've had a few different companies that have been sort of gone from small to larger exits. My first company was a PC gaming company that was acquired by Hewlett-Packard many years ago. And I've been playing games my whole life. I got very deeply involved in an AR/VR company called Vervana, which was based in Montreal, and it got acquired by Apple in 2017. And then I started Microsoft Ventures many years ago and ran that for a few years, and got deep into blockchain pretty early. My previous company was an esports betting company that became kind of the largest betting company for video games, and it was built on blockchain. It was called Unicorn, and it was acquired last year by Entain. And last year, I joined my co-founder of Microsoft Ventures, and we started an AI gaming company. It's a, I don't know how to describe it, but it's basically, we're building a game, a fighting game based in the future. It's a fighting game where every single character in the game is an artificially intelligent NPC, and they're kind of living on the blockchain. They're like individually unique characters. And we started last September, and we quickly raised around $45 million. A16Z was our lead investor. It was all an equity round. But essentially, it's like the dumbest idea I've ever had. It's a cockfighting game, and the cocks and hens fight in the coctagon, and you don't have any control over them. They basically, when they see each other, they start fighting. But the human input is training the birds, so training the AIs, and they're like your pets. So we're building emotional connections between the players and the characters that they own. That's kind of what we're doing.
So I think what we'll do is just to frame up what we're actually talking about here. When looking at joining here, this conference, AI had just moved out of academia and moved into everybody's hands. And you're seeing probably one of the greatest alpha tests ever with what's taking place with stable diffusions and with the diffusion models that are happening. And so you're seeing the emergence of all the dApps, but now you're seeing it happen with AI. And somebody had a cute one, I think it was diapers for AI, something like that. Anyway. And so, when looking at what the merge of those two is, how will AI affect NFTs? That for me was, the idea for this panel and for this discussion. And I'll just say from my end, and then I'll leave it, I'll pause, is that we're creating all of these alternate worlds or virtual worlds that are going to need interoperability and composability and all of this stuff. And it really comes down on the narrative level. Is how are you going to end up making a coherent experience across all of these distributed worlds? For me, the metaverse is a transmedia experience. It will be my tweets, it will be my LinkedIn, it will be my Discord, it will be all the community members and everybody else, and it'll be all these different digital spaces that I go to. But how do I end up making sure that narrative is consistent? And that narrative is going to be consistent, it'll be through generative text that's persistent, that will allow for this hierarchical kind of breakdown of all of this world structure. And you're seeing it now. I know that Rahul just mentioned this on his. I probably did a terrible job at explaining this, but I'll pause there.
Yeah, so I think that I look at this space just generally. I've been in 3.5 bear markets with crypto. So I've seen basically every bull market brings in a new audience of users and a new group of speculators. It's mostly driven by speculation and bullshit, to be honest with you. And 97% of the projects end up failing, maybe more. But this last bull run that we had brought in brands, it brought in artists, it brought in musicians, it brought in the creatives in a way that nothing else had in the past. And there's something there with NFTs. And I get tired of hearing about, NFTs are a scam and crypto's a scam from people who just don't understand it, because we're in a bear market right now. But when the next bull market happens, there's going to be a much larger audience that's coming into the space. And we fundamentally believe that entertainment is the intersection where art meets technology in a very profound way. It meets culture and technology in a profound way. And for us, the future of gaming is where the characters kind of control themselves, and the human or yourself have an emotional connection to your characters that you own, like it's a pet. And we're using blockchain for ownership. We're not using it for rewards or creating token economies or which are basically Ponzi schemes at the end of the day when player growth stagnates. Unfortunately, that's just typically how they work. We're using blockchain in a way that sort of is in the background, and it's not really obvious to the user. And I think that's really important for going to the next level of users. To get to 100 million users, you can't have them be crypto gods with wallets and security and all that other garbage. You have to make it super simple for them to jump in.
Yeah, and I would like to add to Seth's contribution about NFTs and AI. I think AI is having a little bit of a moment of intersection with blockchain, which didn't happen before. Like you said, Rahul, with behavioral AI, is going to be very interesting projects coming around. But also with AI, and it's bridging, it's shorting the bridge for new artists, as you said. In my experience, this new machine learning algorithms that are able to produce like amazing images. So I come from a CGI background, but so producing art with AI now is enhancing and expanding the way that new artists can just validate ideas. But I think also in the intersection with blockchain technology, it's also going to be a tool for populating digital worlds. So we're seeing the most recent papers, things as Dream Fusion, that are basically parallel for images, but for 3D objects. So there's going to be a lot of information needed for these projects to go through. And so I think I just see the possibilities that exist for blockchain projects, even in this bear market, as you said. And another example is Andrea's work, which I saw in Christie's. That maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, and how are you using AI for your artwork?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, yeah, my answer would be more like from a AI and art standpoint in the NFT space. And let me take like one step back first. The reason why I think it's fascinating is because AI is anyway, gonna be part of our lives more and more. And I think, I'm a very big advocate of many jobs being automated through robotics, AI, and blockchain being a tool of achieving some sort of universal basic income at some point. So what I'm feeling is that AI is coming, is exponentially growing. Is not only gonna be something where is gonna take some of the jobs, like it's even gonna be relevant in the creative sector. So I didn't want, to approach AI as a threat, but instead I wanted to embrace it. And since my early days in the NFT space, even with the release that I did, with Sophia the Robot, last year on Nifty Gateway, we really tried to say, okay, can actually an AI and a human collaborate and produce something new? Maybe an AI cannot create art. I don't know. I don't want to say what is art, what is not art, but maybe an AI and a human together can create something new. And the point I think always when you do something, as a new attempt is to leave the audience with new questions without having, the arrogance of providing any answer. And what I have seen is that you can then build on top. You can basically have a system where the AI is a sort of like your alter ego, like your inner child. In the case of Sophia, for instance, at the time she was 5 years old, and she looked at all my works and then reinterpreted the work based on her experience. And then I remember we were commenting the work and we're like, okay, why this happened? I don't know why she did that. And then that also gave me a good foundation to, as you said, build the work AB Infinite One that then was auctioned at Christie's, where we basically created a software that was interacting with social networks, and people could basically say whatever they wanted about the work that I did. They could share pictures, they could tweet about it, and as long as they use the hashtag of the work, AB Infinite One, then all that information would be taken, and an AI would reimagine everything and include them as part of the work. Not only from a visual standpoint with images, but also with words. So one element that I found very interesting is NFTs are not just images. They're not even just videos. They're even, for instance, I'm very interested about poetry, and I wrote a stream of consciousness poem on that piece, and then that poem kept being updated by the interactions of people with that piece, and then the AI was taking the words, and we were just seeing that thing evolving. So the reason why I think it's interesting is because it's very new, and it's really a road that you can open and you can explore, and is now basically. Art cannot live in a vacuum, disconnected from the period that it exists. It's something that I understood very, very clearly like a couple of years ago. And now, through AI, I see it as a way to be actually in today and also project it into the future.
Can I just to tag into that? So one of the things that Andrea had touched upon was training AI agents to then be able to, and this is where Mech Fight Club.
Yep, Mecha Fight Club. Yeah.
Mecha Fight Club. So training AI agents to then become autonomous. So what if you were to train your Tamagotchi to end up having a persona of X, and then you created a writer's room, and you had your David Fincher, you had your, take your pick on the different prototypes that you had for directors, and then you would end up having these and say, then now create. And so, yes, soulbound the shit out of those tokens. Yes, create a codec that is locked and on the blockchain, and then create these autonomous agents that can end up creating value themselves. Sorry to jump in, but
No worries. So while creators like Andrea building so many amazing stuffs by embracing, so he just said it beautifully, embracing the AI, and when builders like him build amazing stuffs, on the other hand, like every coin has two sides, people also try to scam or get nasty into this space. And that's where we use AI to spot them. So look at the diverse nature of AI. One guy is just right here sitting next to me is building using AI, and what we are doing is again embracing the same technology to prevent his works, right? Because people are trying to replicate what, let's say, Andrea or other artists created. Let's say when somebody posts something on OpenSea, it's just 2 clicks away. Download and then add a bit of colors and then re-upload to Mintable or Rarible, right? And we at BitScrunch, we prevent that using AI. And then we also find patterns of wash trading. So for somebody who is not sure about wash trading, it's a phenomenon where people flip NFTs for higher prices. So let's say when Vijay has an NFT, it takes 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes for me to create multiple MetaMask wallets. Either I can move my NFT back and forth between those MetaMasks, or I can just create a small bunch of group and then circulate it from A to B, B to C, and C to D. So with that, over a period of time, I can inflate the price of NFT. And when a third person looking at my NFT or Andrea's NFT thinks that we are great artists and our value is jumping up from few Ethereums to several Ethereums, right? And that lures them. It makes them feel lucrative, and they end up losing money.
So let me just step in for a second, because when you talk about NFTs, as far as like just a picture that's being traded and people are copying it, that has to stop from the standpoint that artists need to think much bigger than creating a JPEG image and building a community, because communities are ephemeral. We found out in this space, communities mostly don't care, right? They mostly just speculate, because that's what we're built on right now, is pure speculation. So, with AI, if we're breathing life into art, we're taking these characters that we're creating, these beautiful creatures that we're creating, and breathing life into art. Not just through agent simulation, because agent simulation is a way to train the birds how to fight, but they don't have a personality. So we're using machine learning to imbue each bird with their own individual DNA. So they have weird personalities. Some of them are wild. Like, we have different characteristics. As an example, one characteristic might be empathy. And we go from -1 to 1 with unlimited decimals in between. So if you're like -1 empathy, which is nearly impossible, you're basically a psychopath. And this is how the birds behave. And then you kind of learn about them over time. And then the other way that we use AI is to enhance the work of the artist, not to replace the artist, because humans yearn to create, and artists love to create. So by using AI to replace the artist, I don't think that's the way we should go. I believe that AI can enhance the artist's work through concept art and through, like, we have our lead artist right now is an amazing artist. He's a graffiti artist who paints 300-foot walls using spray paint, or used to until he started working for Irreverent Labs full time. He does digital art, sculpting, all of that stuff. And he uses AI to help him sort of dream about concepts. And you know, part of our game, or this world that we're building, we're allowing people to come in, creators to come into the world. You don't have to own birds, but you can come in and you can create environments using AI. So you can take a 2D image, and we use a piece of software that will take that 2D image and transpose it into a 3D environment. It's pretty wild stuff.
I think the thing that's interesting is that when we talk about virtual worlds and we talk about having to build out like all these robust environments, you have a tool like AI that allows you to create these hierarchical kind of narratives and then completely drop down from your class of characters that you would have. You can use it for a generation of characters. And the first things that everybody that touched Midjourney had said is, great, I can make an NFT. The problem is that the value prop is shifted now. The faucet is on. There are millions of images that are created at, like, you know, probably in seconds, you know, across the world. And so how do you end up bringing scarcity into that? How do you bring in rarity? How do you bring in the old things that were like really made this valuable? But I think where AI is going to come in inside of all these different spaces is going to end up being in where it's like, if you look at the metaverse across like an alternate reality style of game, you know, if you saw the movie The Game, you saw that, you plug in all your information. This is going to allow for one touch point, you know, whether it's Twitter, to end up affecting everything else that you have. And that's going to end up being an always-on digital to physical experience. And I think that AI is going to end up hypercharging these kinds of, you know, this physical and digital world experience across all of it. And then NFTs is going to be ownership. It's going to be value. It's going to be locking an AI codec to yourself, to your digital persona, and plug it into an avatar that now can move across every world, regardless of what the digital designed body is. You'll be able to take that with you.
Yeah, I would like to jump on the word of hypercharging, because it really feels like that. And also Rahul was mentioning about like the expansion of the artist's work. In my experience with the AI prompting algorithms, in a CGI background, it would take you at least a couple of months or various weeks to validate some concepts. In my process now, since like these tools have been released, I think we've produced around like 10,000 images, which is just like an amazing amount of work in the CGI like archivist industry. I don't know. We mostly produce like 4,000 images in about 5 years. So I think it's great that this group is seeing AI as a potential for creativity. And how do we build upon that? I think that's a great conclusion for this panel.
Yeah. So for the sake of time, we should probably just like wind up with like last thoughts, I suppose. I don't know how much time we have left.
It says we don't have any.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
going to let we're gonna attempt to let the chorus play for us, the choir. But yeah.
All right, so we'll wind this up real quick. So look, I just want to say to any artists out there who are building in the space, don't be discouraged by a bear market, because you know there's been many bear markets in this space. Be encouraged by it. Now is the time to start building and start thinking about what you want to prepare for the next bull market. Because as you do that, the cream rises to the top, and now is the time to build. So it's absolutely the right time to do that.
One thing I would add on Rahul's your point is I completely agree that NFTs are not just JPEGs. In fact, my forecast is that, you know, in the next few years, like 5-10 years down the line, you won't even talk anymore about NFTs, because the word NFT, it means pretty much everything. Like, we are in a world that will become more and more digital, and everything will be represented as an NFT, as a concept of digital ownership. So it's really important that as a creator, you have something to say. if you don't have anything to say or your art it's not good, like even if there is an NFT attached to it, doesn't mean anything. Probably it was hyped during the very very early days because there was a period that if you say NFTs you would sell it, but that's long gone. Actually now is exactly the opposite. But one element that I feel is important for creators is that NFTs are a tool. It's like an additional brush in your hand that you can use to then deliver something that is very unique and profound, and you don't have any boundary to do that.
Hey, we are getting the hook, and Vijay, just give me one second. I would say this is, touch the tools that will shape your future. Understand them, touch them, play with them, break them if you can, because they're not going anywhere, they're going to be here, and whether you like it or not, you can use them to benefit what you're trying to do inside of life and career or other. Vijay?
Yep. I mean, exactly the same. So just keep your heads down and focus on building things and be prepared for the next bull runs.
Thank you, everybody.